Awareness by Tony Mello. Forward. Tony DeMello, on an occasion among friends, was asked to say a few words about the nature of his work. He stood up, told a story which he repeated later in conferences, and which you will recognize from his book, Song of the Bird. To my astonishment, he said the story applied to me. A man found an eagle's egg and put it in the nest of a barnyard hen. The eaglet hatched with the brood of chicks and grew up with them. All his life, the eagle did what the barnyard chicks did, thinking he was a barnyard chicken. He scratched the earth for worms and insects. He clucked and cackled, and he would thrash his wings and fly a few feet into the air. Years passed, and the eagle grew very old. One day, he saw a magnificent bird above him in the cloudless sky. It glided in graceful majesty among powerful wind currents with scarcely a beat of its strong golden wings. The old eagle looked up in awe. "Who's that?" he asked. "That's the eagle, the king of the birds," said his neighbor. "He belongs to the sky. We belong to the earth. We're chickens." So the earth lived and died a chicken, for that's what he thought he was. Astonished. At first, I felt downright insulted. Was he publicly likening me to a barnyard chicken? In a sense, yes, and also no. Insulting, never. That wasn't Tony's way, but he was telling me and these people that in his eyes, I was a golden eagle, unaware of the heights to which I could soar. I remember meeting an 87-year-old Jesuit in Spain. He'd been my professor and rector in India 30 or 40 years earlier, and he attended a workshop like this. "I should have heard you speak 60 years ago," he said. "You know, something, I've been wrong all my life." God, to listen to that. It's like looking at one of the wonders of the world. That, ladies and gentlemen, is faith and openness to the truth, no matter what the circumstances or consequences, no matter where it leads you, and when you don't even know where it's going to lead you. That's faith, not belief, but faith. Your beliefs give you a lot of security, but faith is insecurity. You don't know, you're ready to follow, and you're open. You're wide open. You're ready to listen. And mind you, being open does not mean being gullible. It doesn't mean swallowing whatever the speaker is saying. Oh no, you've got to challenge everything I'm saying, but challenge it from an attitude of openness, not from an attitude of stubbornness, and challenge it all. Recall those lovely words of Buddha when he said, "Monks and scholars must not accept my words out of respect, but must analyze them the way a goldsmith analyzes gold, by cutting, scraping, rubbing, melting." Let me summarize what I was saying about selfless charity. I said there were two types of selfishness. Maybe I should have said three. First, when I do something, or rather when I give myself the pleasure of pleasing myself. Second, when I give myself the pleasure of pleasing others. Don't take pride in that. Don't think you're a great person. You're a very ordinary person, but you've got refined taste. Your taste is good, not the quality of your spirituality. When you were a child, you liked Coca-Cola. Now you've grown older and you appreciated chilled beer on a hot day. You've got better taste now. When you were a child, you loved chocolates. Now you're older. You enjoy a symphony. You enjoy a poem. You've got better taste. But getting your pleasure all the same, except now it's in the pleasure of pleasing others. Then you've got the third type, which is the worst. When you do something good so that you won't get a bad feeling, it doesn't give you a good feeling to do it. It gives you a bad feeling to do it. You hate it. You're making loving sacrifices, but you're grumbling. Ha, how little you know of yourself if you think you don't do things this way. There have been some interesting studies in brainwashing. It has been shown that you're brainwashed when you take on an introspect, an idea that isn't yours, that is someone else's. And the funny thing is that you'll be ready to die for this idea. Isn't that strange? The first test of whether you've been brainwashed and have introjected convictions and beliefs occurs the moment they're attacked. You feel stunned. You react emotionally. That's a pretty good sign, not infallible, but a pretty good sign that we're dealing with brainwashing. You're ready to die for an idea that never was yours. Terrorists or saints, so-called, take an idea, swallow it whole, and are ready to die for it. It's not easy to listen, especially when you get emotional about an idea. And even when you don't get emotional. How about my name? Is I my name? Evidently not, because I can change my name without changing the I. How about my career? How about my beliefs? I say I'm Catholic, a Jew. Is that an essential part of I? When I move from one religion to another, has the I changed? Do I have a new I, or is it the same I that has changed? In other words, is my name an essential part of me, of the I? Is my religion an essential part of the I? I mentioned the little girl who says to the boy, "Are you a Presbyterian?" Well, somebody told me about another story about Patty. Patty was walking down the street in Belfast and he discovers a gun pressing against the back of his head, and a voice says, "Are you Catholic or Protestant?" Well, Patty has to do some pretty fast thinking. He says, "I'm a Jew." And he hears a voice say, "I've got to be the luckiest Arab in the whole of Belfast." Labels are so important to us. I am a Republican, we say, but are you really? You can't mean that when you switch parties. You have a new I. It isn't the same old I with new political convictions. I remember hearing about a man who asked his friend, "Are you planning to vote Republican?" The friend says, "No, I'm planning to vote Democratic. My father was a Democrat. My grandfather was a Democrat. My great grandfather was a Democrat." The man says, "That is crazy logic. I mean, if your father was a horse thief and your grandfather was a horse thief and your great grandfather was a horse thief, what would you be?" "Ah," the friend answered, "then I'd be a Republican." We spend so much of our lives reacting to labels, our own and others. We identify the labels with the I. Catholic and Protestant are frequent labels. There was a man who went to the priest and said, "Father, I want you to say a mass for my dog." The priest was indignant. "What do you mean, say a mass for your dog?" "It's my pet dog," said the man. "I love that dog, and I'd like you to offer a mass for him." The priest said, "We don't offer masses for dogs here. You might try the denomination down the street. Ask them if they might have a service for you." As the man was leaving, he said to the priest, "Too bad. I really love that dog. I was planning to offer $1 million stipend for the mass." And the priest said, "Wait a minute. You never told me your dog was Catholic." Say that you are afraid or desirous or anxious. When I does not identify with money or name or nationality of persons or friends or any quality, the I is never threatened. It can be very active, but it isn't threatened. Think of anything that caused or is causing you pain or worry or anxiety. First, can you pick up that desire under that suffering, that there's something you desire very keenly or else you wouldn't be suffering? What is that desire? Second, it isn't simply a desire. There's that identification there. You have somehow said to yourself, the well-being of I, almost the existence of I, is tied up with the desire. All suffering is caused by my identifying myself with something, whether that something is within me or outside of me. Where there is love, there are no demands, no expectations, no dependency. I do not demand that you make me happy. My happiness does not lie in you. If you were to leave me, I will not feel sorry for myself. I enjoy your company immensely, but I do not cling. I enjoy it on a non-clinging basis. What I really enjoy is not you. It's something that's greater than both you and me. It's something that I discovered, a kind of symphony, kind of orchestra that plays one melody in your presence, but when you depart, the orchestra doesn't stop. When I meet someone else, it plays another melody, which is also very delightful. And when I'm alone, it continues to play. There's a great repertoire and it never ceases to play. That's what awakening is all about. That's also why we're hypnotized, brainwashed, asleep. It seems terrifying to ask, but can you be said to love me if you cling to me and will not let me go? If you will not let me be, can you be said to love me if you need me psychologically or emotionally for your happiness? This flies in the face of the universal teachings of all the scriptures, of all religions, of the mystics. How is it that we missed it for so many years? I say to myself repeatedly, how come I didn't see it? I am sometimes asked, is this growing in awareness a gradual thing, or is it a whammo kind of thing? There are some lucky people who see this in a flash. They just become aware. There are others who keep growing into it slowly, gradually, increasingly. They begin to see things, illusions drop away, fantasies are peeled away, and they start to get in touch with facts. There's no general rule. There's a famous story about the lion who came upon a flock of sheep and to his amazement found a lion among the sheep. It was a lion who had been brought up by the sheep ever since he was a cub. It would bleat like a sheep and run around like a sheep. The lion went straight for him, and when the sheep lion stood in front of the real one, he trembled in every limb. And the lion said to him, "What are you doing among these sheep?" And the sheep lion said, "I am a sheep." And the lion said, "Oh, no, you're not. You're coming with me." So he took the sheep lion to a pool and said, "Look." And when the sheep lion looked at his reflection in the water, he let out a mighty roar. And in that moment, he was transformed. He was never the same again. If you're lucky and the gods are gracious, or if you are gifted with divine grace, you might suddenly understand who I is, and you'll never be the same again. Never. Nothing will ever be able to touch you again, and no one will ever be able to hurt you again. Is it possible for the rose to say, "I will give my fragrance to the good people who smell me, but I will hold it from the bad"? Or is it possible for the lamp to say, I will give my light to the good people in this room, but I will withhold it from the evil people? Or can a tree say, I'll give my shade to the good people who rest among me, but I will withhold it from the bad? These are images of what love is all about. It's been there all along, staring us in the face in the scriptures, that we never cared to see it because we were so drowned in what our culture calls love, with its love songs and poems. That isn't love at all. That's the opposite of love. That's desire and control and possessiveness. That's manipulation and fear and anxiety. That's not love. We were told that happiness is a smooth complexion, a holiday resort. It isn't these things, but we have subtle ways of making our happiness depend on other things, both within us and outside of us. We say, I refuse to be happy until my neurosis goes. I have good news for you. You can't be happy. You can be happy right now with the neuroses. You want even better news? There's only one reason why you're not experiencing what in India we call anand, bliss, bliss, bliss. There's only one reason why you're not experiencing bliss at this present moment, and it's because you're thinking or focusing on what you don't have. Otherwise, you would be experiencing bliss. You're focusing on what you don't have, but right now you have everything you need to have bliss. Happiness is our natural state. Happiness is the natural state of little children to whom the kingdom belongs until they have been polluted and contaminated by the stupidity of society and culture. To acquire happiness, you don't have to do anything because happiness cannot be acquired. Does anybody know why? Because we have it already. How can you acquire what you already have? Then why don't you experience it? Because you've got to drop something. You've got to drop illusions. You don't have to add anything in order to be happy. You've got to drop something. Life is easy. Life is delightful. It's only hard on your illusions, your ambitions, your greed, your cravings. Do you know where these things come from? From having identified with all kinds of labels. You don't do anything to be free. You drop something, then you're free. It reminds me of the Irish prisoner who dug a tunnel under the prison wall and managed to escape. He comes out right in the middle of a school playground where little children are playing. Of course, when he emerges from the tunnel, he can't restrain himself anymore and he begins to jump up and down, crying, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. A little girl there looks at him scornfully and says, that's nothing, I'm 4. Put this program into action 1,000 times. Identify the negative feelings in you. B, understand that they are in you, not in the world, not in external reality. C, do not see them as an essential part of I. These things come and go. D, understand that when you change, everything changes. Pleasant experiences make life delightful. Painful experiences lead to growth. Pleasant experiences make life delightful, but they don't lead to growth in themselves. What leads to growth is painful experiences. Suffering points up an area in you where you have not yet grown, where you need to grow and be transformed and changed. If you knew how to use that suffering, oh, how you would grow. Let's limit ourselves for the time being to psychological suffering, to all those negative emotions we have. Don't waste your time on a single one of them. I've already told you what you could do with those emotions. The disappointment you experience when things don't turn out as you wanted them to. Watch that. Look at what it says about you. I say this without condemnation. Otherwise, you're going to get caught up in self-hatred. Observe it as you would observe it in another person. Look at that disappointment, that depression you experience when you're criticized. What does that say about you? Another illusion is that external events have the power to hurt you, that other people have the power to hurt you. They don't. It's you who give this power to them. Another illusion. You are all those labels that people have put on you or that you have put on yourself. You're not. You're not. So you don't have to cling to them. The day that somebody tells me I'm a genius and I take that seriously, I'm in big trouble. Can you understand why? Because now I'm going to start getting tense. I've got to live up to it. I've got to maintain it. I've got to find out after every lecture, did you like the lecture? Did you still think I'm a genius? See? So what you need to do is smash the label, smash it, and you're free. Don't identify with those labels. That's what someone else thinks. That's how he experienced you at that moment. Are you in fact a genius? Are you a nut? Are you a mystic? Are you crazy? What does it really matter? Provided you continue to be aware, to live life from moment to moment. How marvelously it is described in those words of the gospel. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns. Consider the lilies of the field. They neither toil nor spin. That's the real mystic speaking, the awakened person. So why do I fall in love with a person really? Why is it that I fall in love with one kind of person and not another? Because I'm conditioned. I've got an image subconsciously that this particular type of person appeals to me, attracts me. So when I meet this person, I fall head over heels in love. But have I seen her? No. I'll see her after I marry her. That's when the awakening comes, and that's when love may begin. But falling in love has nothing to do with love at all. It isn't love, it's desire, burning desire. You want with all your heart to be told by this adorable creature that you're attractive to her. That gives you a tremendous sensation. Meanwhile, everyone else is saying, what the hell does he see in her? But it's his conditioning. He's not seeing. They say love is blind. Believe me, there's nothing so clear-sighted as true love, nothing. It's the most clear-sighted thing in the world. Addiction is blind, attachments are blind, clinging, craving, and desire are blind, but not true love. Don't call them love, but of course the word has been desecrated in most modern languages. People talk about making love and falling in love. What is success? It is what one group decided is a good thing, and another group will decide the same thing is bad. What is good in Washington might be considered bad in our Carthusian monastery. Success in a political circle might be considered failure in some other circles. These are conventions, but we treat them like realities, don't we? When we were young, we were programmed to unhappiness. They taught us that in order to be happy, you need money, success, a beautiful and handsome partner in life, a good job, friendship, spirituality, God, you name it. Unless you get these things, you're not going to be happy, we were told. Now, that is what I call an attachment. An attachment is the belief that without something, you are not going to be happy. Once you get convinced of that and it gets into your subconscious, it gets stamped into the roots of our being. You're finished. How could I be happy unless I have good health, you say? But I'll tell you something. I've met people dying of cancer who were happy. But how could they be happy if they knew they were going to die? But they were. How can I be happy if I don't have money? One person has $1 million in the bank and he feels insecure. The other person has practically no money, but he does not seem to feel any insecurity at all. It's not the cold outside that matters, but the thermometer. It's not the reality that matters, but what you're saying to yourself about it. I was told a lovely story about a farmer in Finland. When they were drawing up the Russian-Finnish border, the farmer had to decide whether he wanted to be in Russia or Finland. After a long time, he said he wanted to be in Finland, but he didn't want to offend the Russian officials. These came to him and wanted to know why he wanted to be in Finland. The farmer replied, "It's always been my desire to live in Mother Russia, but at my age, I wouldn't be able to survive another Russian winter." It sounds strange in a culture where we've been trained to achieve goals to get somewhere, but in fact, there's nowhere to go because you're already there. The Japanese have a way of putting it. The day you cease to travel, you have arrived. Your attitude should be, I want to be aware. I want to be in touch with whatever it is and let whatever happens happen. If I'm awake, fine. And if I'm asleep, fine. The moment you make a goal out of it and attempt to get it, you're seeking ego glorification, ego promotion. You want the good feeling that you've made it. When you do make it, you won't know. Your left hand won't know what your right hand is doing. Lord, when do we do this? We have no awareness. Charity is never so lovely as when one has lost consciousness that one is practicing charity. You mean I helped you? I was enjoying myself. I was just doing my dance. It helped you? That's wonderful. Congratulations to you. No credit to me. When you attain, when you are aware, increasing, you will not be bothered about labels like awake or sleep. One of my difficulties here is to arouse your curiosity, but not your spiritual greed. Let's come awake. It's going to be wonderful. After a while, it doesn't matter. One is aware because one lives. The unaware life is not worth living, and you will lead pain. You will leave pain to take care of itself. Can one be fully human without experiencing tragedy? The only tragedy there is in the world is ignorance. All evil comes from that. The only tragedy there is in the world is unwakefulness and unawareness. From them come fear, and from fear comes everything else. But death is not a tragedy at all. Dying is wonderful. It's only horrible to people who have never understood life. It's only when you're afraid of life that you fear death. It's only dead people who fear death. But people who are alive have no fear of death. One of your American authors put it so well. He said, awakening is the death of your belief in injustice and tragedy. The end of the world for a caterpillar is a butterfly for the master. Death is resurrection. We're talking not about some resurrection that will happen, but about one that is happening right now. If you would die to the past, it would die to the present. An astronomer friend was recently telling me some of the fundamental things about astronomy. I did not know until he told me that when you see the sun, you're seeing it where it was 8.5 minutes ago, not where it is now, because it takes a ray of the sun 8.5 minutes to get to us. So you're not seeing it where it is. It's now somewhere else. Stars, too, have been sending light to us for hundreds of thousands of years. So when we're looking at them, they may not be where we're seeing them. They may be somewhere else. He said that if we imagine a galaxy, a whole universe, this Earth of ours would be lost toward the tail end of the Milky Way, not even in the center. And every one of the stars is a sun. And some suns are so big that they contain the sun and the Earth and the distance between them. At a conservative estimate, there are 100 million galaxies. The universe as we know it is expanding at the rate of 2 million miles a second. I was fascinated listening to all this. And when I came out of the restaurant where we were eating, I looked up there and I had a different feel, a different perspective on life. That's awareness. So you can pick all this up as cold fact, and that's information, or suddenly you get another perspective on life. What are we? What's this universe? What's human life? When you get that feel, that's what I mean when I speak of awareness.